I think they kind of asked me if I have any remembrances of my brothers and sisters. And I'd like to state that I had written in a personal history of mine, I introduced myself as I was born in 1946 at the age of 12, because I don't remember much before that time. But I would like to mention my a few things that I do remember. LaVon was always at home when I was growing up. She worked at the telephone company. There's a lot of stories there, but she worked at the telephone company, and so LaVon took care of me. Now, she tells a lot of stories that I have to believe, because she would never say anything that wasn't true. She would tell me that we lived about a mile and a half from the city center of Twin Falls, where there was a wading pool, and she would go down there to meet her friends. And Mother would insist that she take her baby brother, me, with her to the wading pool. And she finally got the idea, when we got to the wading pool, that she would dunk me underwater and make me cry. So that the next time she wanted to go to the park, and Mother said, take her little brother, I would say, cry, no, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. So anyhow, that's the way my sister LaVon took care of me. As long as we're talking about LaVon, I can remember when I was perhaps 8 years old. We were in our front room of our house. My parents were not home. In the front room there was a couch, and behind the couch was the front window, and next to that was a door. Now LaVon was at the ironing board doing some ironing. It was Christmas, almost Christmas time, and during her Christmas thing, and a man walked in the front door, an old man. I don't know how old he was. LaVon was there ironing in her petticoat, and she picked up her knife and told him to get out, and he said he would not get out. And he took a couple of steps in, and by this time I was on the couch, and I had jumped up because I was scared, and that offset the old man. Anyhow, he turned around and left. And that's one of the experiences, remembrance I have of LaVon. And we were very close.
Silk sheets. Silk sheets.
LaVon, my children, they had moved into a house in Twin Falls, and my wife, who has passed away several years ago, my wife and the children went to visit and going to spend the night, and we were invited to sleep in the guest bedroom. Well, she had rigged the bed so that she put some boards underneath the center of the mattress, so that when you slept on the mattress, you would slide off to the side. And anyway, she got away with it, and that's what and my children all remember that. Venna, I do not remember. Venna married when? December, late in 1940, in late summer. Venna married, and so I remember the girls, I remember the family, but I don't remember her that well. Why did I marry Nina? Okay, Venna. Venna had moved to Ogden, worked in a department store, and this would have been about 1960. And she sent me as a Christmas present some bath towels. And I always say, why bath towels? What kind of a Christmas gift to that is to me a bath towels? And it was about January the 10th, and I was concerned about why my sister sent me bath towels. And the telephone, and I got to thinking, I need to get married. It's time I got married. Well, I could marry 9/11, but she lives in Las Vegas, that's out of the question. And I do somebody else, well, she's on a mission, that's out of the question. Well, I could marry 9/11. No, I can't, she lives in Las Vegas, too far away. And I mentioned somebody else, and there was some reason why I couldn't there. Well, it was 9/11. And so I was that was my dilemma. And the telephone rang, and I picked it up, and I was concerned about these Christmas gifts, the towels. And I picked up a telephone, it was 9/11 from Las Vegas, saying, what did you get for Christmas?
Now we're to Warren. You went to his house in 1954.
Yeah, Orem, my parents and I, when I was in high school, we took a trip to Virginia to visit with Orem. And it was fun. My mother and father, and we just had a good time, and Orem, and I can remember that trip.
Then the Fraser can go 100 miles an hour.
At one time, Orem was I don't know where his family was, probably in the east, but he was stationed in California, and he was going back to see his family. And he had purchased a Fraser automobile. Do you remember Frasers?
No.
Kaiser Fraser? Anyway,
They exist.
it was about a 48, 49 model. And he drove it to Twin Falls, parked it, and then he went the rest of the way. And he told me I could drive the car if I wanted to, but he said, take my word for it, that car will go 100 miles an hour. And that's about, okay, what do we got?
That's hereditary, by the way. That's been passed down.
You went to the movies with him.
Yeah, he also, at that time, we went to the movie, and if you remember the movie River of No Return, with Robert Mitchum, according to Orem, with Robert Mitchum and Marilyn Monroe, whoever she is.
And in Featherville.
And I remember Orem also, we would go to the, after he had moved to Featherville and spent some time, my wife and I and family would go and spend some time in Featherville, Idaho with him. Now,
Now you're talking about Blaine, the trip to Manan.
Blaine, I never knew. My mother wrote in her history that he hitchhiked to California after graduation from high school, and he went down there and found work with his uncle's dairy. We do have evidence. My daughter had found we know he was in California because of a census, 1940 census record that showed him living in California. In the spring of 1940, we have a record that he filled out a draft card in Twin Falls, Idaho, Twin Falls County. And
But you did the trip to Manan.
okay, well, okay. So he was home in in the summer of 1940, and he was driving this old car from California. The only picture we have of that car was him with his foot up on the bumper, and you could see about 6 inches of the bumper, and you could just see the front edge of the car, of the fender. And so he wanted to take his sisters and his mother to see Grandma my mother's mother in Manan, Idaho Falls. And there was a seat in the back for Venna and LaVon. There was a seat in the front for Mother, and of course the driver, but there was no seat for me, so I had to share the seat with my mother or the floorboard. And I can remember Blaine cautioning me and others, if it rains, he says, do not touch the ceiling cover, the fabric on the side, because if you touch it, it'll leak. This I can remember. We went to Manan, and we coming back from Idaho Falls to American Falls. This was in 1940. The road from Massacre Rock left the river and went over some hills, up and down. And he got to the top of the first hill, and he turned off the motor and coasted down. And Mother said, finally, why did you shut off the motor? And he admitted that he had forgot to get gas in American Falls, and he was trying to reach this little one-person gas station. It was near the Snake River. And so then he get to the bottom, turn the motor, coast up, turn it off, and coast down. All the way to this little gas station. And when he got to it, he put right on past the station. And Mother was, oh, you forgot to stop and get gas. And he laughed and said, oh, I have plenty of gas. Well, that's really about all the remembrances I have of Blaine. One of the things that I'd like to mention, and this would have been in January or first part of February of 41, 42, I guess. The telephone rang, my mother answered it, and I can remember Mother saying, well, I'll let you talk to Mr. Hyde. My dad took the phone and he said, I'll be right down to get it. And so he got in the car, and my mother asked me, do you know what that was all about? And I said, well, my brother Blaine has broke his leg, and Dad has gone down to the train depot to pick him up. And she said that was a telegram announcing his death. And so that's my remembrances of Blaine. Benna, Mary, Yvonne, Orem, I talked about that. What else they got?
Talk about your mom now. She does her reading.
My mother liked to do readings in Twin Falls. I tried to pick up on some of them. She cooked on in her readings, I have a picture of it. And I think this is, if she stood up and turned around, you know, the women in those days, Depression, you had to use the material you could. They would make their underclothes out of flour sacks. Well, it was rumored that in one of these performances, she stood up and turned around, and the flour sack on the back said, "Best in the West." She cooked on the wood stove, she cooked cobblers, and it wasn't until 1946 when the city of Twin Falls put a sewer line down the roadway that Father had some construction done at the house. They converted the pantry into a shower and a toilet, which was hooked up to the sewer line. And they had up until that time, it was 4 rooms and a bath. And now we had 4 rooms and a bath.
And then the cellar door she painted.
On the back of the house, it was all screened in. There was 2 rooms in the front, 2 bedrooms, a living room and a front room. And the back of the house, the roof, it was screened in, which could get very cold in the wintertime, and that was where the boys slept. My father would get sheets of cardboard in the fall and nail over the screen to keep out the cold. In between the screen and the little utility room was a cellar door. You know, the kind that you open up, you know, and you close and it goes down flat. Well, I would oftentimes let it fall and make a noise, and my mother would caution me. One time, I intentionally let it fall and slam, and then take the pressure off of me. Oh, Mother. Well, Mother was in the kitchen. She stepped into the utility room and saw it was all right, and she fainted. And that was the last time. That was the last time that door ever slammed shut. I believe that's all that I would like to say at this time. Did I cover anybody?
Did you want to bear your testimony?
Well, I have a testimony of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I enjoy my religion and so happy for it. And my parents taught me, and I'm just grateful to be here, and thank you for this time.